Hi, this is Lori. Welcome to the Paint Girly channel, and today I'm going to paint the eyes of this ceramic piece. I picked this up at a shop near me. It's not a piece I would normally purchase, but it's a place that empties out homes after an estate sale, and so this was very inexpensive. But I bought it because the eyes are so big, and I thought it might be good to do a video and do a pair of ceramic eyes that might be easy to see. So I've gone ahead and I've painted the face just with some Santa flesh. Most of my paints are either deco art or Americana. I think that's deco art as well. Yeah, deco art. And I don't think I'm using any of the other ones today. I also like Ceram Coat. Well, I use Ceram Coat for her skin. So I've got some black. I've picked out 2 shades of blue. I'm going to do something with the eyes that I do if I'm drawing eyes or if I'm coloring in one of my coloring books. So I picked out a light blue and I picked out a navy, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. And now I'm just going to base coat the whole eye white. I just have 3 brushes out. And in most cases, if you're painting eyes on a ceramic piece, you're not going to be painting on a piece this big. You might be, but mostly I would think you'd do something smaller. So make sure you pick brushes that work for you comfortably for the piece that you're working on. So I've got a small round. This one's not, yeah, number 2. Okay, my brushes are old. Number 2, this is the number 6. And then I have an angle brush, 1/8. And this is kind of beat up. I need to look into, I keep forgetting to order some angle brushes. So you always want to start with your brush and water. I've got some paper toweling sitting right here. And I just picked this little dish up at my local Goodwill, and I use it for a palette. I like it. I can see the colors very well. It cleans up pretty easy. So that's what I do. So I'm going to put my brush in water. I'm using my number 6 for this. I already have my white paint out, and all I'm going to do is just, now see, I've got something else in her eye there. All I'm going to do is put a coat. Now I might have to put 2 coats, just depends. Now I'm covering up a little bit of that flesh where I got sloppy. Now I just noticed when I pulled this off of my shelf that it's got a carved in area for you to, giving you direction as far as where you need to put the iris of the eye. Now, if I'd chosen this piece in greenware, I might have sanded that out so I would be free to do what I wanted. But this is what we're stuck with. So we're going to go with it. So I'm just going to continue here now. As most of you probably that are watching know, your acrylic paint dries fairly quickly. And I may not even have mentioned that I'm using acrylic paint, but that's what I'm using. And if anyone's watching that's new to ceramics, this is a piece of what we call bisque. It's already been fired. And I'm putting acrylic paint on it so it doesn't have to be fired again. If you were doing something like a mug or a dish or something you wanted to put food on, or say one of those old-timey Christmas trees and you wanted it to be shiny, put a glaze on top of the bisque and then it would be fired a second time. Now, I'm not sure. We're going to see how this blue, the light blue, is going to cover. And I mostly painted her face because I knew the white of the bisque would make the camera go crazy. It still looks like my camera's jumping a little bit trying to focus, but I don't know that there's much I can do about that. Now I'm going to go to my smaller number 2 brush. There again, use what is comfortable for you in the project that you're doing. So I'm just going to follow the indentation that is there. I don't know if you can, yeah, right there you can see. See how the mold put in a line there for the eye, for the iris, I'll say. Now I might need a couple coats of this because number one, I'm going over white and it's a light blue. And I'm just going to go slow. And I like to twirl my pieces. And I probably should have gotten my other glasses. Now, whoever designed this has her looking that away. I've gotten up on that little edge a little bit, but see if I do more on this piece, I can come back and put some flesh in there. But I'm not going to worry about that today. Now I'm going to go to the second eye and just cover in that iris. And of course you can do the eyes any color that you like. I got a little over the line there. I have a hard time talking while I'm painting eyes. Once you get the first coat in, putting the second coat on goes on a lot easier. And like I said, it dries pretty quickly. So this one's already dry. So I'm going to give it a second coat. Now I keep my pinky finger down to give me stability and a steadiness in my hand. You want a nice even coat. You don't want any of the white to show through. Now it's still a little wet right down at the bottom there. And the problem with painting over wet paint is that sometimes if you do that, you can pull the paint underneath up. And then it makes a mark, and boy, it's really hard to cover it up. You just want to smooth out your paint. You don't want any streaks. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to come back in with some white and see if I can clean up my edge there. This might be a little tricky, especially since I don't have my readers on. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, so that's where we are. All right, we've got 2 coats of the light blue. Now, what I want to do before I do my black and do the pupil is I'm going to float some dark blue. I pulled out some navy blue around the edge of her eye, just to give it a little more pizzazz, if you will. A little more character. Now, I picked out a really small angle brush, which I'm not sure I need one that small because her eyes are so big. Now, you can use a flat. I'm more comfortable with an angle brush, so that's my brush of choice. And I'm just rooting around a little bit here to see if I can see an angle brush that might be a little larger. Now, certainly this is too large. You could do it, but, you know, why struggle? This will be hard to control because it's not that big of an area. See, it's almost as big as her eye. I'm not going to spend a lot of time rooting around here, but sometimes what you're looking for just pops out. And this one's kind of big too. Bum, 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 bum. I could try a flat. I'm just more comfortable with the angle. But see, the 1/8 is really small. Let's try it. Let's give it a go, shall we? All right, so this is Americana Navy, Royal Navy. You're gonna just need a little tiny bit of this, and I don't know if you've ever floated a color. Now, some people like to use a float medium. I just use the water in this case, and what I'm going to do is I just put my brush in water. I take my paper towel and I tap it on both sides, and then I'm going to load my brush with the paint, and I'm just putting the paint on the brush. That's not going to work for you here. I just put the paint on the very, very corner of that angle brush, and then I'm going to work the paint through the brush by just pulling it on my palette. Now you can do it on a piece of tin foil. You can do it on a piece of wax paper if you have a palette. And what that does is the paint on the corner of the brush with the water in it floats across the brush. So we should be able to just get some color. Boy, this brush is really hairy. And just put a little bit of shading along that edge. See, now that's really narrow because the brush is so small. I'm going to try that again, and I am going to use the flat. Use the flat brush. This is, let's see, size 2 or 4. See if I can tell. Oh my goodness, these brushes are really beat up. Oh, it's a number 6. So I just want to put that in my water, and you want your brush to have a lot of water in it. I'm going to use the back of my hand this time. So I put it in the water. I'm just putting a little bit of paint on the corner of the brush. Now I'm going to work the paint through my brush, and it starts to move across. Now, because the brush is bigger and because I put more paint on it, I should get a wider edge of paint, a little more color. And let's turn her right side up. And I could probably use a little, but remember, we're going to put some black in here too for her pupil. Now, when that dries, I'm going to come up and I'm going to try to get up in that the little top part of her eye, because I didn't get in there quite as nicely as I had hoped I would. So now I'm going to rinse and reload because I don't want it to be muddy. And I'm just working that paint through my brush. Now, you might feel more comfortable going from the top to the bottom. I like to come from the bottom to the top. And you can make that as wide as you want. You just want it to blend, really. Now you can paint just a regular line in there as well. You see, I got a little messy coming that way. I'm going to see if I can just clean that up with some water because it's still wet. As most of you probably know, once your acrylic paint dries, it's there to stay. Now I see when I was messing around with that, my paint may have probably not been totally dry in a couple of spots. So I've got a little bit of white showing through. I'm going to just come in there and hit that again with my original blue paint. And I'm going to let that dry. All right. Now the other thing when you're coloring or doing a portrait work, our eyes have a shadow, usually across the top. So I'm going to put a shadow in there too, and I'm going to use the light blue. And I'm going to float the color like I just did, but I'm going to wait until I put my black in for my pupil. So again, I'm just using Americana Deco Art Paint. It's an acrylic paint, and this one is called Lamp Ebony Black. And being as I'm working on a video, I'm going to just use my heat gun a little bit to make sure those eyes are fairly dry, or really good and dry. I probably didn't have to worry so much about the top of the eye because my black is going to be in there. Now I pulled out that one brush, but I don't think I like that so much for my pupil. So I'm going to get one that's on a little better shape. This is a number 1, which is probably on the small side, but I put my paint in the water because I don't want to just drip a dry brush into my paint. And I'm just going to wing it here, guys. See, I would like the eye more centered, but we're just going to go with what we have. Let's see how this looks and then adjust. Now, I think sometimes we don't make the pupil part of the eye large enough, so I think this can be a little larger. I like that a little better. All right. It's so funny. I've splashed some paint up on my computer screen, and I keep seeing extra dots, and that's what I'm seeing. On this brush, I have a wild hair. See if she's focusing. There we go. If I put my fingers right on her little nose, she focuses a little better. Now let's see. I'll let that black dry. I still have some little overage here that I'm not crazy about. And then I've got this over here where I tried to wipe up the blue, the light blue. And you probably can't tell, but it looks a little smeary. So I'm just going to add some white to the pupil. To the eye. And I'm going to come back over here to this one. That looks better. Now I want that to dry. I'm not going to put the highlight in her eye just yet because I want to show you to maybe put a little bit of a shadow in her eye. So I just want that to dry very well. Let's use the heat gun. Now for a whimsical eye, you could use a little starburst, a star, you could do really whatever you want, a little dot. I'm going to put just a little boop dot in the top part of her eye. I'm going to use white for that. But first, I might use this. See, this angle brush looks like it's in pretty good shape. Let's give it a go. Let's see. So I'm putting it in my water. I'm taking off most of the moisture. I'm just applying a little bit of that light blue. Now I want this to really work out of the brush because I don't want it too terribly dark. I'm just creating a little shadow. I'm just going to come like that. Just put a little shadow in her eye. This might be enough to do both eyes. Let's see if I can get in that crease. Just gives a little shadow in her eye. I think that looks cute. Now, I'm thinking about other videos I might do, and I might come back and do her hair and do her skin and maybe show you how to do her cheeks. So I'm not going to do anything with the eyelashes on this. Now you can see that the piece gives us a little lines for eyelashes, and I might want to go and put more on. I'm not sure how that'll look because they're already like kind of built in for us, but we'll do that on another video. So right now I'm just not going to worry about that and about the eyelashes. So let's go ahead and put the little highlight in her eye, and I'm going to use the number 1 round, and what I'm going to do is just make a little, it's not even like a little comma, just kind of like, oh, let's see, press down and pull to do a little highlight in her eye. And I'm going to do it in the same spot on both eyes. Okay, some folks do, like say if I wanted to put a highlight over here, somebody might do it the same over here on the outside edge of the eye, but I would put it, well, I kind of made a mark there, so I'm going to do it right in the center as easy as I can. And I don't want to push down too far. Yeah, I got one bigger than the other, so I'm going to go back. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. And I think I might pull out a liner brush. Got a little bit of drip on her lip. She looked like she was tearing up and she had a little bit of a cry. But she's all right. All right, I'm going to pull out my much loved 2/0 liner brush. This is a Princeton Velvet Touch brush. That's right now it's my favorite liner brush. So I'm just put my brush in water, and I'm adding the water to a little bit of my white paint, and as I move it, I want it to be more of an ink kind of consistency, and as I load my brush, I'm dragging it and twisting my brush to make my brush come to a point. So I get a nice point on it, so you can, use it like a pen or a pencil. And I'm just going to give her a little highlight line on the outside bottom corner. So that's basically it. Now these are very simple eyes. You could get into a lot more detail and make them more real, but for a fun piece, this is an easy way to go. Now I have a couple other things planned for ceramics. I want to give a shout out to Christina, who asked me to do some more ceramic videos. So I'm trying to move them up on in my queue so I can get some stuff posted. So if you haven't subscribed, I would encourage you to do that. I would appreciate that so very much. Leave me a comment, ask me questions. Constructive criticism is also welcome. And I'll see you on the next video. And guys, if you subscribe to my channel and you hit the little um, notification bell, it'll let you know when I come on because I do live streams. And if you're interested, you could join me. Stop in and say hi. That'd be fun. All right, so let me leave you go. This is Lori again from the Pink Girly channel. And don't forget, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.